Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video explaining my thoughts on how I'm trying to decide on planners for 2024. And I spoke a little bit about this in one of my earlier videos where I did say that I am currently not in a place to decide what exactly I need for the next year. And that is because going into 2023 this year, early January, I was very sure that I would, love to stay in the cousin. And because I had enough information from my planning from last year that I was sure that I would continue using the Hobonichi Cousin. And while I really love this book, I feel like I do not have enough things in my life at the moment, or rather I am extremely busy that I'm not having the time to get back into planning on a book right now. And while it has become a little bit better over the last month, I have several blank pages in this book that I feel that, my planning style has probably changed a little bit, and I also need to assess what I actually need for the next year, simply because I did take on a new job. It would be my 9 to 5 outside of the work that I do for my own store. So there's a lot of things going on, and I'm not very sure how my 2024 is going to look, which is why on September I actually sat down with my current planner and tried to, write down every single thing I actually need from my life perspective, where I would need a book or some sort of a planning method. It doesn't necessarily have to be a planning. It could also be as relate to me taking notes. So that's how, I have maybe kind of ironed out what I really want to track versus what I don't want to track, and just created this whole spread right here. And I want to talk about it. I have not ordered anything from Hobonichi yet, and I will continue to not order anything at least for a couple of weeks, or at least for a couple of months. I'm not sure. So that's how we're just going about this. And we're gonna get into it. And I just wanted to say that I kind of wanted to track all of this, based on certain buckets or certain groups that I want them to be in. So I'll start off with the red ones, and these are not necessarily groups, but they are my non-negotiables. So when I mean non-negotiables, I mean to say that what are the things that I want to make sure of my planning system and my book system for next year. I have 3 that I outlined from, just sitting and thinking about it. And the first one is I want to make sure that my corporate work 9 to 5 planner or book that I'm using has to be separate from whatever I'm using for my my personal and my business. And that's just a very normal thing to think about. And I wanted to write it down because that is one thing that I want to make sure that I don't, cross into a situation where I have like sensitive information that is specifically meant for work archiving on a personal planner. So that's one. And I've also mentioned that I don't want to have a lot of redundancy. So if I am planning to have like a planner, I don't want to have information on that particular thing tracked elsewhere. So I want to keep all of these planners and notebooks individual of themselves. They serve their own purpose, and they don't just cross-reference multiple planners, because that's what probably drives me a little crazy personally, because I just don't want to go into a situation where I have one information spread out in 2 places and I'm trying to figure out where I need to update it. So I don't want that. I can have multiple planners for something, but the information that needs to go on both of those planners need to be totally separate. So that's what my second non-negotiable is. And my third one is, this is just a personal thing, and I want to avoid using Tomoe River paper specifically for work meeting notes. And I don't know what it is. I do not want to write work meeting notes or meeting notes or anything related to extensive information about like work or meetings in a Tomoe River paper. That's not to say that I won't want to use a Hobonichi or a Tomoe River paper for work. It's just the meeting part of it, or just the a lot of writing I don't want to do in here. And I don't know why it is. And it might be something to do with the fact that I don't want to write. I feel like it's just too much information that I don't want to put me and the paper through that. So that's my third non-negotiable. And we're gonna get into some more details. So last year, I did 2 separate orders from Hobonichi, one during September 1st and another during October 1st when they released their manga classics. And I was just going back through my order history and trying to figure out, how much did I actually spend? Because I knew a ballpark, but when I calculated it, it was around 61,090 yen, which roughly translates to $415, which is extremely over my budget. It was, and we know that we go a little crazy during planner season. So this is no hate to anybody who does splurge. I myself splurged on planner season last year. It's just that I want to be a little bit more mindful of the planners that I'm accumulating, because I also need to know whether I will be able to redate it, because most of the time I cannot use more than 2 planners or 2 or 3 planners a year. So if I am accumulating those planners, I want to make sure that I can redate them and they're just not sitting around. So I went really way over my budget last year, and I am not regretful of that. I really loved every single thing I purchased. There are certain things that I do not use, but I still have plans for those things that are not in a way that is not just completely going to waste. But this year I want to be a little bit more intentional on what I'm purchasing, and making sure that even if I don't have like a concrete plan for it, they don't end up being things that I want to try out and just, I know for certain I want to try them out, if that makes sense. So I have put myself a budget of $120, and I think I also mentioned that this is going to be including shipping, but I'm not very sure if that's possible because shipping is kind of expensive from Hobonichi Japan. I did note that there has been, like, if I'm calculating it correctly, it's always better to buy from Hobonichi direct if you are planning to pick up more things than just one planner, because your local retailers do have to adjust their prices. If you're planning to get more things, it's always better to purchase direct from Hobonichi. So while I'm trying to make $120 including shipping, I kind of feel that that cannot be feasible. So at least I'm saying $120 or in and around of $120 is what I'm planning to spend specifically on Hobonichi, which is what I think I am continuing to go and use for next year as well. If that does fall under the shipping budget, well and great, but I'm not gonna be, I still want to be kind to myself and say, hey, if you've reached 120, it's not that you have to take things off. It's just a little thing. This is one of those things that I try to treat myself on. So that's just, an overview of what I'm thinking. Now, I have kind of broken out some of these things into their own groups so that I know what I will be tracking in which planner. And everything that you see on the blue are things that I have finalized that I'm going to be tracking in one planner. We don't know what that is yet, but all of those blue items are going to be going into one bucket. The orange ones are in another bucket. The green is in another bucket. And the taupe or the tan will be something else. So let's go over that. So these are specifically as it relates to my corporate work, 9 to 5. And some of the things that I want to track are target goals for work. Basically, what are the goals that I am putting for myself? And I would like this to be in a monthly view. And when I mean a monthly view, I mean exactly like this. I want to be able to write down what my own goals are for my work for that month. I also want to track any planned goals for me. Basically, if there are deadlines or things that I need to meet that have been stipulated by the company, I want to be able to track that as well. So that's a separate category, which I also want to track on a monthly layout. There are things that I will need to, write down. So planned learnings or meetings or items that I want to track for work. I also want to track that. And this is also something, while I'm not going to go into the actual meeting notes, I do want to track those major events in a monthly view. And here's the thing, right? I also want to point out that this work planner is specifically meant for my eyes only. I will not be collaborating with anybody on the planner, on my own planner. If there are things that I need to collaborate with other people for, that's gonna go on their separate, digital tools. I will not be using that for my in my planner. So I just wanted to point out that all these things that I'm talking about specifically as it relates to my work is meant for my eyes only. And I just wanted to point that out because I am working in an IT setting. So it's not that we don't use digital tools for collaboration. It's just that there are times that I need to take notes for myself specifically, because that's how I do learn. I like to try and interpret things in a different way, or I like to keep things separate from my actual deadlines sometimes. So those are the things that I will be planning to track in this work planner. So the learnings and if there are any holidays that I'm planning to take or, things like that, I also want to track that. That will also be in a, maybe in a monthly view, or it could also be in a weekly view. We don't know. So that also relates to the section for learning specific to my work. If there are things that I want to write down or if I want to like quick notes, and there are times when people just call you and have a conversation, and I want to be able to track that specifically. So those are also going to go in this particular planner, whatever we're going to assign it for. I also want to have the ability to brain dump. So I want to have the ability to just draw something out for my own view, for my own visual. While I can use a collaborative space for that, I do want to get like a very rough sketch out in my head somewhere. So I will also use this particular blue blue planner to do that. Now this one, I wanted to track this like a specific category, which is like wins at my work. And I have not figured out where this will go. Ideally I want to do that in a monthly view, but I feel like I already have so many things going on in my monthly view that it might just get cluttered. So I haven't figured out where this goes. And I also have like a running section of items to specifically ask people or tell people. This could be put into a digital section, but for now I'm just keeping it in a analog space. And I think I also have like certain goals from my work that I want to track. So that would also go into my blue section, but I'm not very sure whether I want to track it as like a monthly view or a monthly view or a weekly view. So that's there. Now, I also have another item in here that says a weekly running list, a running to-do list of all the items that are on my radar. And this might be redundant to some of the things that I've mentioned here, which is why I've left out, actually color coding it. But the only specific that I wanted to talk about is I really want to have a weekly view of this. So when I mean weekly view, I mean something like this. Moving over to the next item, which is a specific one. This is in orange. This is anything for home, personal. My business goes into one planner, which is going to be separate from the blue one. So it is highlighted separately. I also have my 7-year journal, which is actually inside this Ane pouch. This is my 7-year journal. This is going to continue, nothing specific. I think this is just going to be one of the lineup. I will still continue this. So this is just sitting there like that. And I do have like random notes for the week or the day, something to jot down. It also says that this may be a duplicate of 11. So these are the two things that I'm not sure of at the moment. We did talk about our non-negotiable, whereas like not having redundant information from many spaces. So that's just like one of my non-negotiables. And I also want, this is specific as it relates to this particular planner, is I want to continue using, I want to try and use some of the weekly supplements that I have acquired, which is basically this, this is actually a weekly supplement, a supplement that goes with your weeks for additional pages. Specifically from the Mother series, I purchased this last year. These are really good. I do want to try and reuse 2 of these, which I have left, but I don't want to end up, drawing layouts for this. So this might just end up being something that I will use when it's required. So that's that. And I also want to be, have the ability to change the layouts of things relating to my work. Now, this is a big one. And this is where I am just kind of unsure what needs to be done for it, but I do have a plan for it. So, and the last one, this is just some notes for myself basically. And the last one, which is the 16th one, is I really want to continue tracking the manga webtoons that I read. Today, I'm doing that in my Vertical Weekly because I cannot get my Vertical Weekly to work planning related because I have tried a few methods and it just hasn't worked. I feel like me planning something actually only works on my monthly. I can plan on a weekly, but it cannot be vertical. It has to be like the Hobonichi week's layout. So it has to be something like this in order for me to actually plan. So my monthly, my Vertical Weekly, whenever I see this, I'm just thinking, oh, this is like a schedule. I need to follow this. And that's the only way my brain works. So what I've been doing instead is I do tend to read every single day a manga or a webtoon or whatever it may be. And I usually track what I'm reading, but I'm thinking of, writing down basically things that just have been highlights for me for that particular chapter. And it's not necessary that I have to write something every single day. So it's just something to, maybe flip and look at once it is done. But this is the only way that I'm using this page right now. And I really like that I'm doing this because it's a way for me to track also the media that I'm consuming. So I want to continue doing that. And if I'm like thinking about, some of the things over the years that have really put me off certain planners are their inability to lie, flat. That has been like one of my biggest items that I really want a planner to be. They have to lie flat. If they don't, I don't even pick it up. So that's that. And I also think that at some point I want to be able to archive some of these notes that I'm writing. So all these meeting notes that I'm taking, I want to be able to instead of just taking the book and putting it somewhere, I want to be able to archive those pages. So that's also something that I've been thinking about. And I do have a very high level plan on what I want to get. But you know how it is with planner season and FOMO running around. I'm trying to make it as, you know, intentional as possible. So I still haven't made any order yet. I'm gonna wait for at least a couple of weeks. I'm actually filming this on I'm filming this on Saturday morning. So that's the other thing. If you notice, I have not been using my Hobonichi cousin consistently. There have been days that I have used it. There have been entire months that I have just not used it. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is wanting to reuse this cousin for next year, specifically for my personal and like a home planner. And before this video, I actually counted the number of blank pages that I can accommodate. And up until September of this page, I have 149 blank pages. And when I mean blank pages, I mean this is a blank page. This is a blank page. This is a blank page. So I can actually plan or write in this page for next year. I don't necessarily need a new planner for my house kind of related thing, because I've been noticing that I'm not taking one page per day. I'm taking like one page for 2 days. That's how it's working. So I'm usually write this much one day. And if I wanted to write something on Wednesday, I just continue writing it here and just adding more things that I need to look at here. That's how I've been seeing myself doing this over the last couple of months, which is why I feel like I may not need a brand new planner specifically for my home business stuff. And I counted the blank pages, and there's like 149 pages up until September. And that might just continue to grow, which I think I can use or reuse for next year. And if I do run out of pages, I do have some options. It's not like I am sans notebooks. So that's how the planning portion of this is going. These are like my thoughts. I don't know how effective this would be, because I feel like every single month things are moving way too fast for me to actually realize how my needs are changing, which is why I want to sit with this for at least a month and then come back to it at the end of the month or the start of the next month to see whether are these actually really what I need again. Do I still feel like I need all of this? And understanding that it might change. I just don't want it to be a situation where I'm constantly trying out new planners, because it doesn't work for me that way. I want to be a little bit more mindful of what I'm using and making sure that if there are blank pages, I am reusing them for next year. I mean, there's nothing wrong in using some of these pages. Granted, it will not give me the exact date that I'm planning to write on, but I can always, cross this off and just write the date by my hand. So that's how it is going. So in conclusion, I have an idea of what I want as of 9/1. I'm gonna sit with all of this information for a couple of weeks, at least a couple of weeks. I'm just gonna say until the beginning of October. That's what I think makes the most sense before I make my official purchase. I think it might also be pushed a little later, depending on how things are going at work. And that's pretty much how I'm going about this. Let me know how you are planning to get your planners. And I've started seeing a lot of Hobonichi unboxing videos, and I'm getting so much FOMO watching them, but I'm trying to stay strong, and I absolutely love some of the covers. And that's the other thing. I know that sitting on something is gonna might make it run out of stock. So I'm trying to be a little nice to myself and say, hey, it's okay. If you really want it, you can make a purchase when it's online later, so yeah, so that's the whole point of this video. I just wanted to say that I'm feeling a little left out, but I'm also trying to be a little bit more nice to myself and just hold off on making a purchase because I really don't want to end up with something that I just don't use. And yeah, so this, all of this is just going to go right out the window maybe when I'm actually gonna make my purchase, but I feel like I can stay strong. So yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think my idea is gonna work? I do want to do a follow-up video on, when I get my planners and make my official purchase. I'll just go over what I thought and what I bought for it instead. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.